The first time I smelled another man's cologne on my wife, she tried to blame it on the new soap at the gym. By the time she dropped her gym bag and I saw that men's tank top in our hallway, I already knew I was done asking questions and ready to start measuring exits. I've spent 20 years building houses. Lumber doesn't lie. Concrete doesn't gaslight you. If something's off, you can see it with a level, feel it under your boots, hear it when you tap a wall and the echo's wrong. People are trickier, but the signs are the same if you stop pretending not to notice. My marriage to Ashley had felt like a house settling wrong for a while. Little things, schedules shifting, new secrets where there used to be small talk, more girls' nights, more gym time, less eye contact. Nothing you could frame on its own, but enough to make the floor feel a little out of level. The Tuesday it stopped being theory, I was at the kitchen island with my coffee, going over framing notes for a new build. 6:12 a.m., still dark out. The front door opens. Ashley comes in from her early workout. She's flushed, breathing a little too hard for someone who supposedly just finished light cardio and stretching. Hair is messy in a way the gym doesn't usually manage. Yoga pants painted on, sports bra peeking under an unzipped hoodie. And the smell. Not sweat, not her body wash. Cologne. Sharp, male, expensive. Not mine. She freezes for half a second when she sees me sitting there. That half second is all I need. On a job site, it's the way a cracked joist sags when you put weight on it. Hey, she chirps, too bright. Didn't think you'd be up this early. Inspection day, I say, sipping my coffee. Gotta check foundations. She laughs like she didn't hear the choice of words. Drops her gym bag by the stairs. The zipper slips open just enough when it hits the floor, and I see it. A rolled-up men's tank top, size large. I wear a medium. I don't say a thing. She starts in about her trainer, like she's reading from a script she's practiced in the car. Ryan pushed me so hard today. You should see the new program he made just for me. He says I've got crazy potential if I stay consistent. I nod like I'm impressed. Ryan Cole, right? The guy you follow on Instagram. Her eyes flicker. Tiny movement. If this were a wall, that'd be the hairline crack right above the doorway. Yeah, she says, grabbing her bag a little too quickly. You should come sometime. Maybe, I told her. Busy building other people's dreams, remember? She kisses my cheek, still smelling like some stranger's chest, and heads upstairs to shower. I finish my coffee, add that cologne, that tank top, that over-rehearsed trainer monologue to the stack in my head. Warped boards in a bad shipment. That evening, I'm back from a site check when the doorbell rings. It's Mrs. Peterson from across the street. 80 if she's a day. Perfume from another decade. Phone gripped in her tiny hand. Jason, dear, you have to see this. I'm not one to gossip, but, she says, already stepping inside. She opens Instagram, thumbs fumbling, and lands on Iron Forge Gym stories. There's Ashley, clear as day, laughing while some muscled-up guy, Ryan, has his hands on her hips, stretching her from behind. Her face is turned toward him in a way I recognize. I've just never seen it at a gym before. He smacks her leg playfully. She giggles. Her friends Megan and Jenna are in the comments. Fire emojis. Get it, girl? That one-on-one attention, though. I don't say a word. I just take her phone, hit the right buttons, and screenshot everything. Twice. Oh, I'm sure it's all innocent, Mrs. Peterson says. Like even she doesn't believe it. People just share too much these days. Yeah, I say, handing her phone back. They really do. When she leaves, I stand alone in my kitchen, phone in my hand, evidence lined up in neat little rows of pixels. In my world, you don't start tearing down a wall the second you see a crack. You mark it, you watch it, you figure out what's load-bearing and what can be removed without bringing the whole place down on your head. I save every screenshot into a folder and give it a name. Ashley, foundation check. I don't confront her. I don't yell. I don't know. I just do what I do best. I start to plan. The thing about anger is if you swing it wild, you break your own hand. If you aim it, you can cut a straight line. 2 days after the cologne and the tank top, I walked into the nicest gourmet shop in town. the kind of place Ashley called a treat, and I called overpriced fruit with better lighting. Can I help you? The clerk asked. I need a gift basket, I said. Biggest you've got. We ended up at $200. Imported chocolates, perfect fruit, cheese with names I couldn't pronounce, a fancy bottle of wine the color of old blood. All of it for a man I'd never met. The clerk slid a little card across the counter. Message. I took the pen. I've written hundreds of contracts, bids, specs. This was easier. Dear Ryan, thank you for all the personal attention you give my wife, especially during your private sessions at our home. Your dedication to her individual needs is truly above and beyond. Gratefully yours, Jason Walker. I read it twice, checking the alignment like a header over a door. Not a single accusation. No curse words. Just facts bent into a weapon. Delivery time? I asked. We can drop it at the gym around 11, she said. That's their busiest time. Perfect. By noon, my phone buzzed. Mike Turner, my foreman, was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Bro, he choked out. What did you do? Morning to you too, I said. I'm at Memorial. That trainer clown from Iron Forge? Ryan, his wife showed up at the gym, opened some bougie basket in front of everybody, read your hallmark of death out loud, and beat the living. He caught himself. Let's just say he's got a black eye, scratches, defensive wounds. She's a professional boxer. Danielle. Everyone knows her. I pictured it. The basket, the card, the realization. And Ashley? I asked. Oh, she showed up too. To check on him. Danielle shoved her around in the parking lot. No major damage, just bruised ego and some actual bruises. The whole town's talking. I hung up feeling lighter than I had in months. Not happy, just satisfied, like watching a rotten wall finally come down on its own. When I got home, Ashley was at the kitchen table, mascara smeared, a fresh purple mark on her forearm. She looked up at me like I was the one who'd swung the punches. She's insane, Ashley snapped. Danielle got the wrong idea. She thinks I'm sleeping with Ryan. Can you believe that? I set my keys down, slow. The wrong idea, huh? She attacked him in front of everyone, she went on, voice shaking, and then went after me in the parking lot, screaming about private sessions and our house. I swear to God, Jason, I don't know what she's talking about. I pulled out a chair and sat across from her, calm, curious, like a homeowner walking me through a crack I've already inspected. Well, I said, maybe she saw the card. Her eyes narrowed. What card? The one that came with the fruit basket I sent. I held her gaze. You know, thank you for all the personal attention you give my wife, especially during your private sessions at our home. That one. Her face went white, then red, then something sickly in between. You sent that? She whispered. Sure did, I said. Seemed polite. You've been talking about Ryan nonstop. Figured it was time I thanked him properly. Her mouth opened and closed. No sound. For once, the storyteller was out of words. In construction, there's a moment when a wall gives up and leans, just enough for you to see the truth. It was never solid. It was just pretending. Sitting there, watching her realize how much I knew and how long I'd known it, I saw my marriage do the same thing. In a city, you can disappear. In a town like ours, you sneeze wrong and 3 people ask if you're getting divorced. By Thursday, the fruit basket had turned into legend. I didn't need to chase rumors. They walked up to my front door in orthopedic shoes. Mrs. Peterson caught me while I was loading tools into the truck. Jason, dear, she said, eyes bright with the kind of concern that loves a good scandal. Have you seen what that Danielle girl posted? It's just awful. You should probably know. 10 minutes later, I was in her living room, perched on a floral couch, watching her scroll Facebook like it was the evening news. There it was. Danielle had written a long post, the kind that starts with, I don't usually do this, but, and then does it anyway. She laid everything out. Ryan's affair with a married client, screenshots of texts clearly from Ashley, hotel photos outside the Iron Forge weekend seminar, timestamps, gym selfies, our street in the background of one of the pictures. She tagged the gym, tagged Ryan, tagged Ashley. She tagged half the county for good measure. People shouldn't share these things publicly, Mrs. Peterson clucked, even as she zoomed in. But sometimes the truth has to come out. I didn't like seeing my life laid out on a stranger's page, but I liked facts. Those I could use. Can you send that to me? I asked. She frowned. I don't know how to do that. Just hand me the phone. I'll help, I said. I helped by screenshotting everything and forwarding it to my email. Then I did something Ashley never expected. Nothing public. No comments. No likes. No sad face reaction. I didn't even log into Facebook. I just sat at my kitchen table later that day, organizing screenshots into folders the way I organize bids. Danielle post, Ashley tagged, gym connections. After that, it was about placement. Evidence doesn't need a megaphone. It needs the right address. Mrs. Peterson liked to say, my church friends know everyone. I believed her. So when I accidentally let her see one of the screenshots while I was trying to figure out my phone, I watched the gears turn. Oh my, she breathed. Is that Ashley's company tagged there? Looks like it, I said. Didn't know that kind of thing mattered. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Well, I'm sure someone in HR would have thoughts about all that. I didn't tell her to do anything. I didn't have to. By the end of the weekend, the screenshots had found their way to exactly where they needed to go. Monday afternoon, Ashley came home early. No leggings, no gym bag, business suit instead of yoga pants, heels clicking angry on the tile. She slammed her purse onto the counter. I got suspended, she snapped, pending an investigation into conduct and reputation. I didn't look up right away. I finished the line I was drawing on a plan, capped my pencil, and then met her eyes. That's so? Don't play dumb with me, she hissed. Someone sent those posts to HR. Somebody sent screenshots. This is you, Jason. You are ruining my life. I leaned back on my stool. I don't even have a Facebook account, I said. You know that. That doesn't mean you're not behind it. I didn't write the posts. I didn't take the pictures. I didn't send the texts. Seems like other people's choices are finally being noticed by other people. That's not me ruining your life. That's gravity. She stared at me, breathing hard, cornered by facts she couldn't spin. For a long moment, the only sound in the kitchen was the fridge humming. Then she said it. The line she'd been saving up with her friends, probably practicing between shots and, you go, girl speeches. I want a divorce, she spat, chin lifted like it was a power move. I watched her, really watched her. 10 years of my life standing there in a suit bought with our money, furious that her backup plan had a backbone. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay. Yeah, okay. My attorney's already on retainer anyway. Her mouth dropped open. You what? Tom Harris, I said. Same guy who handles my contracts. Hired him the day I sent that fruit basket. While you were busy having private sessions, I was busy drawing up blueprints. For once, she understood me perfectly. That was the exact moment she realized I hadn't been clueless at all. I'd been patient. Tom Harris's office smells like paper, coffee, and money that actually exists. I've sat in that chair 100 times going over bids and contracts. This was the first time the job site was my marriage. He slid a stack of documents across the desk. Ashley's filings, he said. You sure you're ready to see how she tells it? I build houses for inspectors and banks, I said. I'm used to people rewriting reality. He smirked and opened the first packet. Divorce petition. Temporary restraining order. Immediate spousal support. The story underneath was almost impressive. According to Ashley, I was a controlling, manipulative husband who monitored her movements, humiliated her publicly, emotionally abused her, and weaponized social media against her. Tom tapped one paragraph with his pen. She's really going for it. Claims you're obsessive and unstable. Says she's afraid of what you might do. Yeah, I asked. Did she mention I haven't raised my voice once? Never posted a single word online. And the only thing I weaponized was a fruit basket? He flipped a page. She left that part out. He read in silence for another minute, then shook his head. If this was a contract, I'd call it creative writing. Judges don't like creative writing, Jason. Especially when there's no police reports, no witnesses, no prior filings. Temporary restraining order might get rubber-stamped for a week, but once we're in front of a judge, it's going to die ugly. I sat there, letting the anger settle into something sharper. Good, I said. What else? He pulled another folder from his drawer. Now we get to the fun part. While her people were trying to paint you as the villain, some things started popping at her job. You're not the only one collecting paperwork. Expense reports, company card charges, reimbursements. He laid them out like blueprints. Couple of issues, Tom said. Restaurant bills tagged as client lunches that don't match her calendar. Hotel charges on days she supposedly worked from home. Mileage reports that make no sense. He slid over a printed name, Eric Davis. You know him? Tom asked. I did. I'd heard the name 100 times. Just a friend from work, Ashley always said. He gets me. Not like construction guys. Her bosses pulled security footage from one of the hotels, Tom continued. Guess who walks in with her more than once? I stared at the paper. Trainer at the gym. Coworker at the office. Whole damn rotation. Remember that GPS tracker you had me ask about in case we needed it? Tom said. The one you installed under the break issue cover story? I nodded. We pulled the logs, he said. Your wife's car visits that hotel more times than it hits the grocery store some weeks. Times line up nicely with those expense reports. He watched my face. How long have you known? Trainer? A few months, I said. Eric? Longer. I met his eyes. I stopped counting after the third time she lied about where she was, and I watched her car park behind that hotel. And you didn't confront her, he said. Not a question. No point screaming at a cracked wall, I said. You document. You plan the demo. Tom nodded slowly, like he finally saw the whole build. All right then. Here's what we're going to do. He pulled out a legal pad and started writing. We file counterclaims for adultery, financial misconduct, and false allegations. We attach what we need: GPS logs, expense reports, Danielle's post, the ER record from when her boyfriend's wife turned his face into a lesson. I listened. Then, he said, we will freeze all joint accounts. If she wants to blow up her life, fine. But she doesn't get to drain your business and your savings on her way out. She's already calling the frozen cards financial abuse, I said. He snorted. Courts call it asset protection, especially when there's proof she's been using marital funds to romance her coworker and her trainer. I looked at the neat stacks of paper. Every receipt, every log, every screenshot. Emotional wreckage turned into clean, labeled folders. Are you still sure you don't want to go loud? Tom asked. Some guys need their big confrontation. I shook my head. I don't need a scene, I said. I need to walk away with my house, my company, and my name clean. The rest can collapse on its own. Then that's the plan, he said, capping his pen. We're not just defending, Jason. We're building. That's when it clicked. I wasn't in the middle of a disaster. I was already working on the rebuild. Consequences don't feel real until they hit the wallet. The morning after Tom filed to freeze the joint accounts, I was loading the truck when a white SUV screeched into the driveway. Ashley jumped out, hair a mess, phone in her hand, Megan in the passenger seat already recording like she was producing a documentary. You're insane, Ashley shouted. My cards are getting declined everywhere. This is financial abuse, Jason. I leaned against the tailgate, wiped my hands on a rag, and looked straight into the camera. You filed for divorce, I said. The court decides what's ours now. Until then, nobody drains anything. You can't just cut me off, she snapped. I have expenses. Yeah, I said calmly. I've seen them. Her eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? $3,000 at restaurants last month alone, I said, ticking it off on my fingers. Funny thing, the receipts line up real nice with a guy named Eric Davis's schedule. I wonder what his wife would think about those business lunches. Megan's phone dipped a little. That got through. How do you even know about? Ashley started, then shut her mouth too late. Keep recording, I told Megan. Might help someone someday. Maybe not the way you think, though. They left in a storm of half-finished threats and burning rubber. I went back to work. Let the footage age. Cameras cut both ways. A few nights later, I was at the Rusty Anchor with Mike, our usual corner table under the busted neon sign. The place was its normal mix of tired faces and cheap beer. Then Megan and Jenna walked in. You could tell by the sway they'd been drinking before they got there. By 10 p.m., they were loud enough that the whole bar had front row seats. I told her from the start, Jenna slurred at the bartender. You can't cheat with your trainer and your coworker and then act like he's the bad guy. Megan snorted. She said she was going to take Jason for everything. Said he was just a construction guy. Too dumb to notice. Guess that didn't work out. They kept going. Ryan's private sessions. Eric's hotel runs. How Ashley lied to them too. Pretending Eric was some soulmate while she was still chasing Ryan's attention. Now that they knew there were multiple affairs, even her own friends sounded embarrassed. She didn't even tell us about the coworker, Jenna said. Like we're her little fan club, not her friends. Mike and I didn't move. We didn't chime in. We just sat there, nursing our beers, letting the words hang in the air. In a town like ours, you don't need to argue your case when the witnesses show up drunk and start testifying for you. By closing time, Ashley hadn't just lost control of the story. She'd lost the people she thought would always help her tell it. The call came at 7 a.m. Saturday. Mrs. Peterson, breathless like she'd just outrun the mailman. Jason, honey, you need to come over right now. That boxer woman posted again. Her laptop was already open on the kitchen table when I walked in. Coffee, Bible, Facebook, her morning altar. Danielle's new post was longer than the first. Not just rage this time. Documentation. Screenshots of texts between Ashley and Ryan, hotel confirmations, selfies in mirrors with his reflection behind her. Timestamps that lined up perfectly with the GPS logs Tom had. One photo was taken from across the street. Ashley getting into Ryan's car in front of our house while I was at work. At the end, Danielle had attached a picture of my fruit basket card. She'd circled the private sessions at our home line in red. She tagged Ashley, Ryan, Eric, Eric's wife, Ashley's boss, the gym, and about 100 locals. Comments were a bonfire. By Sunday, it had been shared so many times the original didn't matter. Screenshots had taken on a life of their own. Tom called that afternoon. Rachel King just reached out, he said. Ashley's lawyer. Suddenly she wants emergency mediation. Says her client regrets the escalation and hopes to resolve things privately. Now she wants quiet, I said. At least she's finally realistic, Tom replied. Meet tomorrow, 10 a.m. Ashley looked like a ghost when she walked into the conference room. Hair flat, clothes wrinkled, eyes swollen. Her lawyer did the talking. Jason, Rachel began in her calm, practiced voice. Ashley is willing to sign for an uncontested divorce. 50-50 split. No alimony either way. Everyone walks away, and we all agree not to drag this into court or social media any further. I could feel Tom watching me. I didn't even look at him. No, I said. Rachel blinked. No. Tom slid a folder across the table. Our proposal. Ashley signs a sworn admission, he said. Multiple affairs. False statements about abuse and control. Financial misconduct with marital funds. She waives all claims to Jason's house, business, and retirement. He keeps everything he built. She gets her car, her personal account, and a clean break. That's the deal. Rachel bristled. That's outrageous. She's not signing some character assassination so you can parade it around town. Tom opened the folder. GPS logs. Expense reports. Danielle's post. The ER report from Ryan's beatdown. Photos. Texts. If we go to court, he said calmly, this isn't a character assassination. It's evidence. Your client doesn't need to worry about what Jason parades. She needs to worry about what a judge reads into the record. Ashley stared at the table, hands shaking. "This is revenge," Rachel said. I finally spoke. "No. Revenge would have been yelling, smashing things, blowing up online with everybody else. This is protection. I worked my whole life for what I've got. I'm not losing it because she got bored." They left to consider. Tom and I went for coffee. By 4:30 they were back. Ashley walked in alone this time. Her voice was barely there. "I'll sign it." I watched her put her name at the bottom of every page. No yelling, no speeches, just ink on paper. That confession was worth more than any apology. A permanent record that I didn't imagine any of this, and that the man she tried to bury walked away with everything he built. Paper signed or not, you don't feel free right away. It's more like taking off a weight you've carried so long your shoulders forgot what straight felt like. Mike and I went to the Rusty Anchor that night, same as always. No party, no shots, no victory laps. Just 2 beers, our corner table, and the quiet understanding that the hard part was over. "Feels weird," Mike said, lifting his bottle. "You're getting divorced and us just sitting here. What else is there to do?" I asked. "The judge still has to stamp it. I still have a foundation pour at 7 a.m. tomorrow." He snorted. "Never change, man." We were halfway through our second round when the door opened and the room shifted. Conversations dropped half a notch. Even the bartender paused. Eric Davis walked in. He was shorter than I'd pictured. Office soft hands. Shirt too tight across a chest built by push days. Not labor. Jaw clenched like he'd been rehearsing in the car. His eyes scanned the bar and locked on me. He squared his shoulders like he was heading into a championship fight and not a cheap room with bad lighting and better memories. "Jason Walker?" he asked, stopping at our table. "You found me," I said. He ignored the chair, choosing to stand like height would help. "You're destroying an innocent woman," he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Ashley is broken. She was trapped in a loveless marriage, begging for affection, and you left her no choice. You humiliated her." It was almost funny, hearing my life explained to me by the man who'd been sleeping with my wife on her lunch breaks. "She told you that?" I asked. "She told me everything," he said. "How you ignored her, belittled her, monitored her, froze her out emotionally. You pushed her into my arms." I let that sit for a second. Let him believe he was the noble wronged man. Then I dismantled him the way you dismantle a bad story on a bid. "How long have you been sleeping with her, Eric?" I asked. "Exact months." His jaw twitched. "That's not the point." "It is," I said. "Because if you've been her savior for that long, I'm curious. Did she ever mention her personal trainer?" "A guy named Ryan." He frowned. "She said she worked with a trainer. Nothing more." "Did she mention he's married to a professional boxer? That he got his face turned inside out in the Iron Forge parking lot because of Ashley? That my fruit basket kicked that off." "I don't believe you," he snapped. Mike slid his tablet across the table without a word. Danielle's viral post was already up. Pictures, texts, screenshots, the card. Even one shot of Ashley and Ryan outside a hotel Eric had never been to. "Read," I said. Eric's eyes moved line by line. His anger drained out, replaced by confusion, then something uglier, recognition. The look of a man realizing he wasn't the main character. He was just a chapter. She said, he tried voice cracking. She said Ryan was just a pushy trainer. She said I was the only one who understood her. "Sure," I said. "That's how the script goes. My husband doesn't appreciate me. You're the only one who really sees me. Same lines, different audience." He swallowed hard. "My wife left," he muttered. "Took the kids. After that post started flying around. She packed bags and said she was done. She thinks I didn't know there was someone else." "You knew she was married," I said. "You knew you were married. The rest just hurts your pride." He sank into the chair across from me like his legs finally quit. For a second, I saw past the guy who helped blow up my life and just saw another idiot who thought he was special because a liar told him he was. "I thought she loved me," he said quietly. "Maybe she did," I said. Same way she loved the attention from the trainer. The same way she loved what my paycheck bought. She loves whatever fills the hole in front of her at the moment. He looked up, eyes red. So what now? Now? I shrugged. Now you deal with your own mess. Your wife. Your kids. Your lawyer. You stop believing every sad story that starts with, "You're the only one who understands." He stared at the table. You really don't care? After everything she did to you? I care enough to make sure she doesn't take what I've built, I said. Beyond that, I'm done volunteering for her drama. He nodded, slow, like it hurt. Then he stood. For what it's worth, he said. I'm sorry. I believed him. Didn't change anything. As he walked out, Mike took a pull from his beer. You're not gonna swing at the guy who helped wreck your marriage? I shook my head. He already lost more than I could take from him. House, kids, illusions. I leaned back, feeling something settle inside my chest. He thought I was the villain in his little love story, I said. Turns out, I was just the contractor who shut off the power and locked the door when the lease was up. Eric left, and the bar settled back into its usual hum. Country song on the jukebox, ice in glasses, low voices. I was about ready to call it a night. Then the door opened again, and the whole room went quiet like somebody hit a switch. Ashley stood there. Not the version from our wedding photos. Not the polished gym wife with perfect hair and coordinated leggings. This one was raw. Mascara streaked, hair half up and half fallen. Shirt wrinkled, jacket hanging off one shoulder. The look of someone who'd run out of plans an hour ago and just kept moving anyway. She spotted me and came straight over, wobbling a little. I could smell the alcohol before she reached the table. You happy now? She announced, loud enough for half the place to hear. You win, Jason. I'm completely destroyed. No job, no money, no friends left, no reputation. You did it. Everyone watched us like a live show. I didn't do your cheating, I said. I didn't write your texts. I didn't climb into anyone's hotel bed but my own. Sit down or go home, Ash. She grabbed the back of a chair instead and spun it around, straddling it like this was some kind of stage. Of course she wanted an audience. You all want to hear the truth? She slurred, sweeping an arm at the bar. Since that's what we're all about now? Nobody answered, but nobody turned away either. She stared at me, eyes glassy. I didn't love you when we got married, she said. Not really. I liked you. You were safe. Solid. A man with a trade and a truck and no chaos. You were a good bet. The words landed dull. I'd already suspected it. Hearing it out loud was just confirmation, not a fresh wound. So you married your good bet planning to find passion somewhere else, I said. Yes, she shot back. That was the plan. You pay the bills, you build the life, and I find the fire you don't have. She started listing names. Old boyfriends who never really went away. Fling before the wedding. Fling after. Trainer. Coworker. Half her closure talks were just reruns. The bar was dead silent. Just glasses clinking in the background. Somewhere along the way, I did love you, she said, voice cracking. I did. You're not exciting, Jason, but you're real. I just thought you were simple, predictable, until that fruit basket, until you played the whole game better than I did. She laughed, short and ugly. Do you know how terrifying it is to realize the man you've been lying to for 10 years is smarter than you? That he's been 3 steps ahead while you made a fool of yourself. I felt nothing I could name cleanly. Tired, mostly. It doesn't change anything, I said. You used me, you lied, you tried to burn my name down on your way out. Now you're upset that the fire caught your side of the street. I kept pushing because I didn't know how to stop, she whispered. Because if I stopped, I'd have to look at 10 wasted years and all the damage I did and admit I ruined the only solid thing I ever had. I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table for our tab. We both live with our choices now, I said. The difference is, mine let me sleep at night. I looked at Mike. Is it good to give her a ride or call someone? He nodded. I walked out without looking back. If she wanted an audience, she had one. If she wanted absolution, she came to the wrong man. The drive home from the rusty Anchor felt different that night. Same streets, same potholes, same faded stop signs. But it was the first time in a long time I wasn't wondering who was in my house, or what lie I'd be handed when I walked through the door. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Mine now, not ours. Not joint marital property. Just the place I'd designed, paid for, and finally protected. I stepped inside, turned on the kitchen light, and just stood there for a second. Same counters where she'd told stories. Same floor where her gym bag had spilled out that tank top. Same room where she'd said, "I want a divorce." Like it was a threat. Didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. I went to the cabinet and pulled out the bottle of good whiskey I'd been saving. Somebody once told me you're supposed to open it for a wedding, a birth, or a big promotion. I opened it for paperwork and peace. Glass in hand, I walked to the window over the sink. Across the street, Mrs. Peterson's porch light was on, soft and steady. I could almost see her, phone in hand, already packaging what she'd heard at the bar into something that would pass from neighbor to neighbor by sunrise. Jason finally had enough. She signed everything, you know? It turned out he wasn't so clueless after all. Let them talk. For once, the truth was more useful to me than privacy. Tomorrow I'd be back on job sites, tape measure on my belt, chalk line in my hand, checking that foundations were square, walls were plumb, and the houses we built would outlast storms. That part of me hadn't changed. What had changed was what I inspected. I'd spent years taking my marriage on faith, trusting feelings the way rookies trust a crooked wall because someone else swears it's fine. This time, I treated it like any structure. I checked the stress points, documented the cracks, and when I realized the rot was intentional, I stopped trying to fix what didn't want to be solid. People like to romanticize revenge. They picture shouting, smashed plates, fists through drywall. That's just more damage to clean up later. What satisfied me wasn't watching Ashley lose her job or her friends or her reputation. That was just gravity doing its work. The Real win was quieter. My business intact, my house still under my name, my record clean, her lies pinned to paper with her own signature. I didn't torch my life to punish her. I stepped aside and let her fall through the holes she'd cut herself. Out the window, a few cars rolled past, probably heading home from the same bar I just left. Messengers without knowing it. By morning, the story would be everywhere. Not of a man broken by betrayal, but of a builder who refused to collapse with a failing structure. I raised my glass to the empty kitchen, to strong foundations, to clean exits, to the simple, underrated power of letting people hang themselves with their own rope while you quietly walk away and start your next build.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.